So yesterday, the Terminator Russian tank has been introduced into War Tycoon, and the whole community is going crazy over it because they want to find out the true power of this vehicle. Well, in today's video, guys, I'll be taking you on a literal emotional roller coaster because what you are about to see is gonna be absolutely insane, and today I'll be versing the Terminator against the AbramsX. Alrighty, so here we are right into the game. As you guys already know, the way I'm going to be doing these tests is I'm going to be going each category one by one. So the first category, I'm going to be testing the health for both these vehicles. So I will be starting with the AbramsX, and the way that I will justify the amount of health it has is how much explosive sniper shots it can take. Of course, if we do go ahead, look inside of War Tycoon the wiki, the AbramsX has exactly 1.9k health. However, we want to compare how many explosive sniper shots it can take, much like the Terminator. So anyway, let's start. So the first shot is going to be leaving the AbramsX at exactly 90%. So it was able to tank around 10% from this one shot, which I was able to, which of course I'm going to be shooting exactly in the same place. So if we go ahead and shoot again, it's doing pretty much the same damage. So it seems to be doing from 10 to 9% each. So this is shot number 3, shot number 4, and shot number 5. And the AbramsX, let's see how much health it's on. It's roughly on half health. Okay, so this is going to be shot number 6, shot number 7, and shot number 8. And then number 9, number 10, and the 11 shot should kill it. Yep, and the AbramsX dies at exactly 11 explosive sniper shots to the same place. Let's check out the Terminator. Alrighty, so next up we have ourselves the Terminator. As you guys can already see, it only does have 2 bars out of health. So let's actually see how big of a difference those 2 bars out of health are actually going to be making inside of this test. Alright, so let's park the Terminator in the same place, and I'm going to be aiming it at exactly the same place which I was aiming the AbramsX to. So this is the side of the tank, and let's see how much health it's going to take. Oh, and it took exactly 10% damage. So from what it looks so far is that it might have even similar health to the AbramsX. Alright, so this is shot number 2, number 3, and then number 4. Okay, so it's almost at half health. So this is shot number 5, shot number 6, and shot number 7. And the Terminator is almost about to die now. Yep, it's quite low on health. So this is shot number 8, number 9, and number 10. So the Terminator died at exactly 10 shots, meaning that the AbramsX has a slight health advantage. But if we go ahead and look at the War Tycoon wiki, as you guys can see, the AbramsX has exactly 1900 health. So since it was able to tank only 1 extra shot from the explosive sniper right here, I personally believe that the Terminator will have around 1700 health, or maybe 1600, something around those boundaries. However, right now we don't really know because the wiki hasn't been updated about the Terminator. Alrighty, you guys, so now moving into the next category, I'm going to be testing the overall speed of both of these vehicles while also seeing their agility and actual ways in which they are able to climb up hills and just go around the environment. So first of all, the AbramsX's maximum speed is going to be exactly 50 miles per hour. However, how fast it actually goes into this speed is actually pretty slow, if I'm gonna be completely honest, compared to what we're gonna see with the Terminator later on. However, when it is in its turning phase, the speed of it is going to be dropping to 45 miles per hour, and it's going to constantly follow the speed. However, let's actually go ahead and see how it moves around the environment. So it can easily get up like very small hills without any kind of problem, so that's pretty good. However, big question is it going to be able to easily get up this hill without losing speed? So let's go ahead and see that. And it got up, but it lost almost all of its speed, which is slightly big of a negative if I'll be completely honest. Alrighty, so now moving into the Terminator, and this thing has probably one of the best excel rates in the whole entire game. So if we start from 0, just have a look how fast this thing speeds up and it goes to its maximum speed. It's like way faster than the AbramsX. It's able to go 55 miles per hour. However, when it is in its turning phase, it's going to be constantly sitting at a speed of 50 miles per hour. So let's have a look at how well it actually goes around in the environment. If I want to like quickly turn, it got up this hill, but it kind of slowed down, which is a little interesting. However, when it does go around these smaller areas and just flops around them, it seems to actually not be losing much speed and just go at a constant speed. However, let's see what happens if it goes onto the higher hill. Yeah, it doesn't lose just as much speed, and it easily gets the speed back. So the winner of the speed category and overall agility in the environment is going to be going to the Terminator. So now the next category which I am going to be testing is to see how powerful both of their second weaponry is, which is of course the machine gun. However, since the AbramsX does have a machine gun and an explosive gun put it into one, and the Terminator does not, I'll be firing both of the machine gun bullets but also the explosive bullets of the Terminator at the same time to measure the overall damage output that it can perform. So we're gonna begin this test with the Terminator, and the test subject is of course going to be the mouse. As you guys can see, the explosive gun on the Terminator does run out of ammo very quickly. However, the other gun, which is the machine gun, does not run out of ammo so quickly, and after exactly all of the secondary weaponry was fired, the mouse is going to be left with 51%, which is actually insane numbers. So now let's go ahead and test the AbramsX. Let's begin the fire on the mouse right now. Let's have a look how powerful this gun actually is. But this gun, unlike the previous one, is actually able to fire for a much longer amount of time. However, at the same time, we gotta also consider damage, so the amount of health that the mouse is going to be left at is going to be 58%. So we clearly actually have a winner for this category, and the Terminator is going to be winning in terms of secondary weaponry. However, we also have to consider the fact that it took way longer for the Terminator to also unleash all of the damage on the mouse, so that's also a thing we have to take into perspective. However, overall, the secondary winner is going to be the Terminator. Alrighty, so in this next test, I'm going to be testing their main weaponry, which for the Terminator is going to be the 4-wired guided missiles, and for the AbramsX, I'm going to be using the main cannon and the javelin. So let's see the individual damage of all of these. So let's begin with the AbramsX. First, I'm going to be shooting the main cannon to the mouse, and let's see how much health it's going to be left at, and it's going to be left at exactly 20% after that. So let's go and hop back into my AbramsX, and then next up kind of shoot the javelin to also see the damage of this, which will allow us to kind of calculate the damage that the AbramsX will be able to do once it does get closer to any tank in the game, or just this tank in particular. So once we do fire the javelin, the mouse is going to be losing exactly 20% again. So now if we go ahead and test the Terminator, since the AbramsX had a weak damage output for all of its main weaponry, let's go ahead and see how much one missile is going to be doing to the mouse, and the mouse is going to be losing exactly 15% from one missile. However, it's going to be a lot differentiated once we do fire all of the missiles, so let's go ahead and fire the rest of the 3. So there's number 2, 3, and 4. And now let's have a look at the mouse's health after 4 of these missiles were fired, and the mouse is left at exactly 37%, meaning that they did 63%. So we already have a clear winner once again for main weaponry in this category. The Terminator is basically going to be winning by a huge mile because it's able to do 23% more with its main weaponry. So once again, the next point goes to Terminator. So this next category is pretty straightforward. I'm basically going to be testing the whole amount of health that the mouse is going to be left at after both of these tanks will be able to fire all of the weaponry on it. And as you guys can see, once the Terminator is almost done firing all of its firepower, it literally destroys the mouse of all of it. That's crazy damage. Alright, so let's see if the AbramsX will also be able to live up to its expectations after firing all of its weaponry on the mouse. Personally, I don't believe the mouse will be destroyed because I've personally fought mouses so many times before, and yes, I'm correct. So let's have a look how much health the mouse is going to be left at after all the AbramsX weaponry was fired, and the mouse is at 11%. So once again, a clear winner for this category is going to be Terminator. However, we do have to consider that it took slightly longer for the Terminator to also fire all of its weaponry. But again, the winner once again is the Terminator. Alrighty, so in the next categories, I'm going to be testing the anti-air capabilities of both of these tanks. So let's go ahead and start with the AbramsX. I'm going to be basically spawning an A-10 Warthog, and then I'll be spawning in the F-35 to give you guys a perfect exemplar of the pay-to-win versus free-to-play difference in terms of being able to destroy these vehicles. Alrighty, so my friend is basically going to be spawning an A-10 Warthog, and I'm just very easily able to shoot it out of the sky with the AbramsX. But on the other hand, if my friend does go ahead and take off with the F-35 while it's in the air, the AbramsX unfortunately does not one-shot it. So now moving into the Terminator, let's go ahead and see if it's actually going to be one-shotting the A-10 Warthog once it does go ahead and start flying. So let's fire one missile, and easy, it does get one-shotted. So let's go ahead and try to test out the same thing for the F-35. I'm just gonna be firing one wire-guided missile, and unfortunately it does not one-shot the F-35, which to me just shows that they could be equal in anti-air capabilities. However, the Terminator still heavily outclasses the AbramsX because it has so much more wire-guided missiles, which basically gives it 4 tries in order to be able to destroy a vehicle in the sky, where the AbramsX has to reload straight away. But also the wire-guided missiles are just much easier to aim with than a tank cannon, so once again, the winner for this category is going to be the Terminator, man. So now moving into the final category of this video, we are going to be doing a close range brute force exchange for who actually wins in close range between the AbramsX and the Terminator. So the second I fire, the exchange is going to be beginning. And the AbramsX surprisingly wins in close range. However, you guys have to take one thing into consideration, which is the fact that whoever won just this fight here does not mean which tank is actually better. The AbramsX, the only reason why it was able to win this fight in close was because of the fact that it has more health than the Terminator. However, the Terminator just has so much more firepower than it. So it really does depend on the player, and if a good Terminator player will be able to use his environment, his agility, his firepower, and everything combined, it will easily be able to take down the AbramsX, in my opinion, in around mid difficulty. So the clear winner of this video is actually going to be Terminator, since it was able to beat the AbramsX in most of the categories, and the only thing that the AbramsX has over it is going to be the health. The Javelin on the AbramsX now is practically useless. I really hope that the developers will be fixing the Javelin, because the AbramsX at this point is probably not worth its money. However, the Terminator is incredibly difficult to obtain, and if there is a good player that's going to be using it, then you guys should be set. Anyway, that is the clear comparison. I hope you guys did enjoy this video. And personally, I don't mind the Terminator being the new best tank in the game. I feel like something that is so incredibly hard to obtain instead of pay to win as being the best tank is probably going to be the right decision. Anyway, let me know what you think, and thank you so much to all of you watching, and thank you so much to all my channel members.